Welcome everybody to Hump Day TA here at Leading Crypto. This is CVO Crypto, Magic Internet Money, and Burmax, and we are the Leading Crypto team. And we're going to be going over some analysis here on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tesla, and Solana, possibly the DXY and the SPX, which we've covered pretty heavily. So we might not take a peek at those. But yeah, just jumping right into the market here as we're getting a little bit of movement here, so a little bit of excitement. And we do come live to you guys every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you enjoy our content, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'm just going to head it right over to Magic Internet Money and see if we can get this thing started.
Sure. All right. Just be pretty quick. There's not really anything too exciting happening. I was given a couple levels to you guys yesterday and a few days prior, looking for 16,611. This is the level that I've been playing. Really well respected all around. So you can see that you've got the initial bounces here. Everyone probably looking for this daily naked point of control. What do? You come below the level, put in what essentially is an ascending triangle on like the 5 minute or the 1 minute, depending on time frame. Now you're making higher lows into the POC here potentially. And I do believe that is also going to be your local gold pocket. So do bear that in mind. Could be an area of resistance if reached. It's also going to be the monthly point of control. So if you're actually looking at this from any kind of a standpoint of, all right, are we going to get a broader scale bounce? This is going to be the area you want to see holding. Now, there is some resistance just above it as always, and you got to be aware of swing failure patterns, especially if these local highs into this region. But if you're going to see that move at all and get that type of a trade, this is the region it all kind of begins from, that 16,819 area. I think I was going to show you the monthly range real quick. And that is, that's kind of the gist of it this morning. Otherwise, nothing's really changed for me. If there's a rejection here and we don't see our way above this level and living above this local range right here, so you can see this section of price right here, just needs to get flipped to support, right? Very, very simple way of looking at it. And if you can do so, start living above this, you can see that this is old support before, and we can start maybe making those moves higher into some of that other resistance. But locally, if you're looking for the day trade, this was the move. I believe it's also on the like the previous day setup. So you essentially closed inside yesterday's session, but then gave it back up. Then you're just trading to get back in. You're at the previous day EQ, which was actually a take profit for me. And now you're looking to see if you can't fulfill that naked point of control up here. So that is Bitcoin in a nutshell. If you start breaking down from 16,611, targets for me still stand at 15,744. I'm not overlooking the idea of a swing failure pattern here. I've talked about this. I just don't really necessarily see that this would be on paper. To me, it doesn't look like a great trade. It looks like a very easy trade if the SFP comes. So that's the, the silver lining, I guess. So it's an easy trade either way. If you SFP the level, you take the trade. If you don't, you don't do anything with it. And you look for this lower target here. And then if 15,744 is reached, it is bounce territory, but I just don't see any reason why you wouldn't take these lows over time. I just feel like at that point, you'll probably at least make a new low inside the range, which could just be a spike like it was here, just by a few dollars. It could also lead to broader targets down at, like $13, $12, $10,000. We were going to look at Tesla today, a little different in terms of what we're looking at. I didn't get a chance to work up too much on it, so I will kind of, freehand it here with you guys. It's an awful looking chart. It looked really good for a long time, and you can see now that you're just coming down into, well, this was going to be support potentially, or, what is that, 131, give or take. I don't know if there's a wick on that candle or not. No, yeah, that's all right. 131. And you've just kind of blown right through it. So you've got an obvious range up here that's already expanding. So how I normally would look at things is I'd be looking for market structure first. And the only market structure I can see from like a weekly, monthly time frame is going to be coming in down here, which doesn't bode well for, Tesla bulls right now. Now, invalidation on that would be a pull up of 131. I think if you reclaim that level, like you've come below the level now, you start claiming the level and holding it, I'd be looking for a back test of resistance. Easiest way to look at that would just be going to like a lower time frame and kind of zooming in a little bit. You can see this is pretty much your last impulse before breakout. And you've got a couple here. And so I don't think you have any falling channels or anything. Realistically, this is a really nice uptrend. If you zoomed out to like the monthly, something like this, and now you've made a lower low. lower high, a new lower low, a new lower high, and you can see how the trend is now continuing, right? So it really leads me to believe that you'll probably see, I wouldn't necessarily say it has to be a full retrace of this move, but I would be curious on what the overall fib pulls look like to see if we're close to the 886 and figure out where structure is going to go from here, because this is definitely not bullish by any means. So I would be looking for something like this, probably coming down to X again, which that is coming in right here. So I would just be looking at this structurally, saying anywhere from probably, man, 40, 50 bucks down to $23 is definitely on the table. I don't really know that you have anything going on right here. I don't know if this would even be classed properly. No, this would be. So you do have a valid butterfly. So you do have a reversal pattern at play locally. And again, you're not going to play this unless you get above 131. And even then, your back test on this is only going to come in from right here to the B leg. So you're coming into resistance. So if this does kind of turn around here, because I'm sure it's beat down pretty hard. Yeah, your RSI is way down there, which I know a lot of people will tell you that's a terrible way to look at it, which I would agree. But if you start seeing that reversal 131, yeah, you're looking up to X and B, and these are really going to be the areas on the chart that have to get reclaimed in order for this to be a done move to the downside, where it gives you an opportunity at making a new higher high and establishing a new trend. You know, from what you were just seeing where I was showing you the poly line, you would want to see something like this essentially, right? And the healthy uptrend continues from there, right? You see something like that, and then you've got a new high here, and then you get higher low, etc. So until that happens, I think it's relevant to keep broader targets to like the 886, which is somewhere right around $56, give or take, 50 bucks, all the way down to $23, and potentially taking this low, because this pattern can take this low and still be valid. And if you were to do that and actually head all the way down here, it is technically still valid. You're looking, yeah, this can drop all the way back down to like 10, 11 bucks according to this, and still be a valid harmonic. And for me, I'd put quite a bit of weight on that, mainly because volume data on this is kind of outdated, I would think. But if you were just looking at it from structure points, this would probably be your first structure before breakout right here. And you would have a secondary one right here where you're no longer closing inside the range. Yeah, at a minimum, you're still looking down probably to your point of control here, which does give you the minimum requirements for a shark. So yeah, I'm still looking down to probably like 50 bucks to be very blunt. In terms of structural support, though, if you think that you have to have market structure there in order for this to be a reversal, a lot of people fall in that camp, meaning they have to see prior price action to justify saying that, you know, there was structure. Then yeah, I mean, this is going to be where you're looking at right here. You're going to be looking in this whole zone all the way down to like 11 bucks up to, you know, $26. So you'd be looking on the more bearish end of that, you know, pattern completion zone. And those things do take time. I wouldn't imagine that's something that's going to happen overnight. So if Tesla sees a rebound from here, I just understand that until you've reclaimed 179 and 233 respectively, that really hasn't done anything. It would just be back testing an old range boundary essentially. And it's a pretty wide range boundary because this is a big, a really big, I guess, base in terms of, you know, being the butterfly. So I'd put a lot more emphasis probably on like the 233 mark than I would the 179. I would just mark this local high maybe in this local high, and know your gold pocket comes in here along with this pivot. And I would probably say if I was looking to short this asset on a rip, that would be where I'd be looking for. Otherwise, FOMOing into a short or something like that on Tesla today is a bad idea. As we all know, we don't chase price. So yeah, Tesla is getting absolutely hammered, and I think it's going to continue over time. I think you do see sub 60, probably $50 to $20 over time. So if you're holding Tesla, I'm sorry to say that. Don't do anything based on what I said, though. You know, I can always be wrong. I'm open to it. Just not as, you know, not as fortuitous of a chart as one might hope for on an asset like that. And the SPX, just taking a quick browse over to it, hasn't done anything for us here. You're still holding on to the support. So until we actually reclaim this 39.23 and these POCs that come in here and break out of this overall trend, our annual trend, right here. That's the wrong one. There we go. Okay, get a log. You can see right here, this is your annual trend until you're essentially out of this, downtrend is still in play. So a bounce back into this blue zone here, kind of a really small range, but I think sideways muddy action might be the play for the SPX. But if you break down below the 2021 low, I do think that you're probably coming all the way back down to this Q4 low, or 2021 open, excuse me. I think the Q4 low is on the table at that point and possibly new lows after that. So that is all I have got on Bitcoin, Tesla, and the SPX. Did I miss anything? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to cover anything else.
Sounds good, sir. Perfect. Beautiful update as always. The zoom in, I like it. I got the orange jacket to match the blue light. Yes, Mr. Max with the boss t-shirt. Are you ready for some order flow, sir? After your 3-hour live trading session. I think you're muted, Max. You are.
I'm muted. How embarrassing. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over on the members stream that we had on, I think it was Tuesday morning, or was it? I think it was Tuesday morning at this point for me. So Monday night members update that we had. We gave 2 trades. One was here, an SFP of this level. As you can see, it completely washed through it. Where do we come down to? Well, we came down to the second box. Now, I will mention, I do not think this was an easy one to get in initially. Came down, did the SFP, tapped more of the golden pocket, but we really didn't come in and tap any of the liquidity that we have down there. So the wick that we had below it was only $10 below this low. Now, I don't like when you have a low taken and it's not considerable. I would have preferred us to come down probably just a touch lower than the golden pocket, get that really big wick, really tapping into that liquidity pool that's there before making its way back up. The fact that it was only a very minor one, being $10, isn't the best. And I'm ultimately, after we come up to that region that Magic mentioned, would expect this to at least be taken, maybe giving us a better trade. Now, why it also may be a better trade is if we come to the order flow. First of all, I'm going to quickly go over the move where you came down. Very hard one to get in, if you ask me, purely because it wasn't too, didn't really go into the move that much into the low. That is not the low, or is it? I believe it was. So he came down and he did get somewhat of a delta switch up, but the delta wasn't very high as he reclaimed it. Actually, I don't think that was it. I am off. 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Tis. Okay, so you didn't really come in and get too much of the liquidity, and the open interest as you came off it wasn't all that great, and the delta wasn't very high. It was only 800,000, but you got your buying imbalances. So if you were there wanting to take the trade, you possibly could have, but you weren't really given anywhere to take profits, which was the issue. Had you been in that trade? But if you stuck to the plan, stop loss goes below the low. Right now, you'd have been somewhat happy. But the second place you could have got in is if I go down to this and I go on to a 5-minute time frame. You could have got in here. So pull in. Normally, when you get these lows, you do normally get a retracement back to the golden pocket, which is coming from here. So you came back to the golden pocket, and on the 5-minute, you were getting, so the gold pocket was here, you were getting your PVAs, you got your reversal PVA signal, which I'm hoping that many of the members in the group are now using. Yeah, there we go, put it like this. You got your reversal signal from the PVAs. You also had, which was interesting, some minor bullish divergence here. So the fact you had the red-green PVA, bullish divergence could have been your signal to enter. But if you were still scared, you then got a ton of buyers come in. Now, normally, I would be very cautious when I spot a ton of buyers coming in here with this huge spike in open interest, very positive delta, and yet price not doing anything. Normally, I would be very not scared, but cautious when I see that thing, because when you get a ton of buyers coming in or ton of sellers, it works either way, and they fail to really push the price, it does beg the question: is the move strong? And who else is on the other end of those trades suppressing the move. Now, you can only really worry about that when price starts to really dip below where they entered, and it really didn't. It stayed there for another 20 minutes or so before slowly creeping its way up, and we've had positive delta, really pushing in this mini little uptrend that we've got. If I go like this, you can see it is a mini uptrend. You've literally just been bouncing along, making your way up. Open interest has been positive throughout it. Delta has been also following the trend. But I know in the live trading session we had someone mention, you've got bearish divergence here, which you do have. But what is bearish divergence? Well, it's leading until it's not. So with the fact that you know where these buyers have come into the market, here, with that bearish divergence that we've got, with the type of divergence that it is, you can only trade that one when the buyers are put underwater, and they've really not been punished. They've really not been tested at all. Even here, you had more buyers coming in, jumping in. The trend has been, it's not been a strong trend, but from an order flow standpoint, it has been. You have had increasing open interest with buyers coming into the market. Now, we also mentioned an area to look at, which was the New York naked point of control on EXO charts. It was coming in at 16,761, and we said that is a region that you can possibly look for rejection if we're not going to go up to that golden pocket. Now, we've also got liquidations here, and common rule of thumb, we can see this just zooming out, where you're getting these liquidations. Think of these as they're not buys, they're not signals, but normally where you get liquidations, price tends to reverse. Now this could continue and go to another more high liquidation point, but rule of thumb is you're not buying where there's long shorts getting liquidated, and you're not selling where longs are getting liquidated. Just a common rule of thumb. And the fact that we're getting this here, the fact we're rejecting from the previous day view up, the previous day naked point of control, previous day New York naked point of control on EXO. And right at the top here, you can see we have a ton of buyers coming in. This huge spike in open interest, all positive delta. Now, if we start to live below them a little bit longer, psychology of trading says how long until they start to panic and start to close that position and push price down. The fact we've got this trap liquidity here right now could lead us to going down and possibly offering us a little scalp in the immediate. Now, where would I expect this to take us? Probably only to the daily open. I believe that is about here somewhere. Yeah, probably only to the daily open initially. But if loss of the daily open does occur, well, you can start to look for even lower, because you have to think, okay, where are these buyers that have entered here? Where is their stop losses going to be? Where are they going to be putting their stop losses up here? Well, they're going to be aiming down here. They're going to be possibly aiming down here for their stop loss, if they're even using them. But the fact we now have that trap liquidity, loss of the weekly pivot, loss of the daily open, we can start to seek for that liquidity. And we also do have 15-minute PVA candles here, and we know that they like to get come back and get tested and closed. So possible setup preempting the before this possible setup that we get. So just be aware of that. I definitely won't be buying thinking it's going to take you to the golden pocket and then you can put in control. Possibly what these traders were doing here. Now I'd be looking for a counter trade scalp, possibly into the daily open, which isn't that far away. I know. Put my marked on. Where is it? And we're about to tap it here. But maybe you come down, test the view app and the daily point, this current day point of control, closing out them 50-minute PVAs, which is also a possibility. Granted, the ranges aren't big here, so it's not really massive trades that you're going to be getting. But that's just the way it's been the past few weeks, and it is what it is. But if we come down, close this, get a nice bounce from here, that could be possibly your setup to then take you to the golden pocket and the previous day naked point of control. If we get a liquidations or stop loss hunt of these guys, so that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Wrecking these traders a little bit, coming down, punishing them for entering it in an unfavorable position, in a stupid position, coming down, taking them out, spotting that they've been taken out, and then circling back up to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. But other than that, it's been rather slow to trade. The trades haven't been that big. But yeah, CVO, all done.
Thing of beauty, sir. Thing of beauty. All right. So yesterday, in our update, we were sitting right here, right? So, and what we were looking at yesterday was a couple of things, right? So we came down. Yesterday we had this untapped weekly level just below us, $1,202, and we were looking for something, like where you front run this level. You start getting a little pushback, traders start coming back in, looking for, the potential of that being the, current low, only to really just run it back to, the VWAP, get a rejection here, actually come down and take this level, knocking out everybody's stop loss, things of that nature, right? We actually took it a step further. One thing we were looking for also was this untapped daily just below it, 1186, right? Which is essentially where we came down to. All right, so here we were, right? Front run the weekly, back to the VWAP, down to the weekly. Actually came across here, got I think this was the daily pivot yesterday, basically opened up the daily. Just once again, that 7 p.m. Eastern, really, really a crucial time to kind of pay attention to see what the new daily information looks like. We wicked straight above, closed back below daily open, got the loss of the VWAP once again, same setup as yesterday, and down we went, right? So daily level here, initially untapped, now it has been tapped, was the next target. Met pretty well so far. Looking for the potential of a reclaim of the weekly level up here at 1202. Could be beginning now, possibly, but I kind of lean with Max a little bit that we're probably going to pull back just a little bit more, potentially even lower than here. Really just kind of getting, once again, it's all a game of like everybody entering late to the move, right? So when you see the price action that we have now, it's it's interesting to know because you got these three, I'm on the 15-minute time frame, of course, but you got a couple of wicks right here, which looks like it's going into no man's land essentially, right? Because we didn't make it up to the daily open. You did essentially push past the VWAP, which possibly would come back down. We just back test at the moment. You were holding above the weekly key level for a bit. Now we're losing that at the moment. But this is kind of where taking a look at XO also kind of comes into play, right? Because if you look at trading view here, and we've got previous day data here, you can basically see that we were coming up and just getting rejected right at the value area low. One thing I like to kind of correlate with trading view and XO is just kind of seeing where the the range is on XO charts as well, because seems to be a little bit more respected. So as we see, we kind of wicked into this region, but the 1207, 1208 area, right? If you switch it over to XO, that actually was the previous day value area low. So you got just straight rejections off there pretty steadily, open interest falling off, right? Stop losses getting hit. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So this was really the area in the short term that you want to see kind of, reclaimed in that regard. Still do. Once again, you could be potentially just coming back testing the VWAP and going from there. But we'll see how that kind of unfolds. But yeah, the previous day data basically just got the run up, back test of the low, just lost a weekly. So and just closed below the VWAP once again. So potentially, if we're coming back down, we've got another daily level just below us here, right? 1167 is one I got my eyes on here. If we do lose basically 1186. Otherwise, you really do want to start claiming some of these areas above us here, right? So if we take a look at kind of this in the previous week sense, we are back in this range. So it's something, to note. Did kind of actually just come back down and test the low here once again. So in the short term, right, it's really all about claiming the VWAP, 1198. Realistically, I'd really like to see 1202 kind of, broke above and held above for, at least an hour, maybe a 4-hour candle. You got daily open, which is essentially, I'd like to say, yeah, daily open is previous day point of control, right? So that's a big area right there. It's also the weekly VWAP as well. Previous week is weekly open point of control. So, I mean, these are some pretty decent little short-term targets ahead of us if we continue up. You also got the previous week high, of course, and then taking a look at this on a little bit higher time frame. right? Like, you know, still really eyeballing this 1251.5, right? We got the gold pocket up here. And if we could look at our, you know, higher time frame range here, like I said yesterday, it shifted a bit. Originally, we had the point of control up a little bit higher. You see how the volume's kind of coming in, you know, pretty similarly. You got just a little bit more volume here now. So, I mean, it's not much of a difference between the high there. But either way, we do have the overall, you know, range high coming in at 1272, just below this golden pocket. And then we've got the low coming in essentially right below that next daily level, right? So if we do come down at this daily level, I mean, really got to watch this previous week low because, you know, we love to come down, take the previous low, and then turn it around. So definitely something to kind of just have an alert for, see the reaction if we come to this level. Otherwise, it's, you know, potentially where we are now if we get a good bounce. And like I said, it's really about the weekly for me, 1202. If you can claim that, you know, I'm on the 4 hour now. You can see how we just we wicked down to it yesterday, dumped straight through it, wicked above, but it's so far really haven't been holding or getting through there and holding there since, you know, since the beginning of the week so far. So big area there. Looking at potentially once again this 1251 area. This idea here is something along the lines of this, right, where you come up, potentially tag that. This is essentially in line with our higher time frame regression here as well. You take the previous week high and then really have to monitor what's going on with Bitcoin around these time frames as well and see how the market's, you know, acting as a whole, potentially come back down and actually just run it back down after that. So all things just, you know, pretty much where we've been, unfortunately. I mean, we got a little excitement today, but it really wasn't much more than like a 1% move across the board. Yesterday was definitely, you know, same thing. You know, the trade essentially was the daily, right? Daily off that, you know, back to the previous day val, which we just ran into. And from here, you know, potentially, you know, looking at a rejection here off the VWAP and, you know, maybe move down towards 1167, potentially 1150. Otherwise, look to claim that weekly here. All right. And then I want to take a look at Solana as well. So Solana, you know, kind of similar to a Tesla, right? We were looking at, there's been a lot of attention on it. You know, it's just been pretty much melting down, had a really nice run up. We're going to take a look at the daily real quick and just kind of get a good overview of how, you know, high this sucker went. We had a high of about $260. You know, this is one of the most interesting things in 2020 December. So yeah, basically 2 years ago, I suppose. It was $1, and that's like one of the biggest trades that you know, we ever had in the group was picking up this at $1. I think we ran it pretty heavily to like 40. I won't say I ran it all the way to 260, but it was a pretty interesting thing to see unfold, you know, because even then it was already up a substantial amount, and then to run from $1 to 260 at 260x. That was a, you know, a really, really big opportunity there, I suppose. But looking at this now, right, we've come back down, testing some areas here. One thing to note, yearly key level, right? You see how that just back tested perfectly. This was same time as Bitcoin, right? The 47,700 level that Magic had put out there for quite some time. You know, you had Solana basically back test that yearly, and then down she went. Looking at the levels now to kind of just get a gauge on, you know, what, and it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. I don't feel either. This is something over time that is, you know, probably going to unfold here. But, you know, you're losing some pretty decent support right now at 1064, right? And in the short term, you know, you reclaim that, and, you know, you potentially can run it back to like, you know, $13. So it's like a 30% move, nothing out of the ordinary here for crypto. Get some other levels up here if we do start claiming some of these areas. The thing is, over time, you've got the global point of control comes in all the way down at 281, right? So when you pull up a global range, meaning that you got all the data here for the entire existence, right? On at least this is Binance. You can see how essentially, right, if I was to map this off, right, what did you have here, right? We broke back into this range, right? Boom, 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 came back up, back tested the overall high, right? So a bearish back test. From there, you're essentially targeting down towards now your point of control, right? Which is also basically at the low here. That point of control does come in at 281. Once again, not to say that that's got to happen or it's going to happen like overnight. Potentially over a couple more months and things of that nature, you could very well get a nice little push to the upside, a substantial push up, and still just put in a lower high and then come down and make this later on in the year, 2023. A couple other things that we have in this region also, right? Just looking at it in the sense of just some statistical areas. You do have an untapped daily right here as well, so 297. So essentially that's a little bit more confluence with that area of 274, so give or take $3 in that region. You've got untapped daily just below it at 190, and then we've got one just a little bit above. So the next area I'd be looking for if we fall a little bit lower in the short term would be about $6, and it's about a 40% drop, right? So I would imagine that the whole market's probably would be eating a drop at that point too, and that's kind of in line with the idea if we see Ethereum back sub 1,000 and Bitcoin coming at some of the levels we've been looking at. That would probably be the area Solana comes down to, hits that, gets a bounce for a bit, and then possibly over time comes down to 281. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the next DC, and this is the thing, like everybody's really counting Solana out. Whether or not it sticks around, who knows? A long time ago, Ethereum was once something like this as well. Really counted out, looked at it as a scam, whatever the case is. Went from $1,400 to $80. So will it be around? Who knows? As far as the technical side, I'd probably consider putting in some spot holds on Solana back, down towards the 281 level if we get down there. So. But those would be my DCA areas, right? I know everybody looks to DCA, every dip and pullback, but it's really like looking for some key areas would be the opportune idea. I'm not going to be, diversifying a ton of capital or like my main portfolio into this. But as far as once again, a short term, like couple months, couple weeks trade, I think there's potential around 615. And then after that, around 281 into that 190 region. Coming into the next year here. So really have to see how things kind of go. Looks like Ethereum's kind of shit in the bed too. Let's take a look back at that. All right, so we got that rejection off of previous day val and back down to the daily at the moment. I would imagine we will probably come down and take this other daily here. So have to see how things kind of play out here, but yeah, losing this daily level right here, it's 1166 is on the table. So similar to what Max just kind of brought up, right? So got the same thing going on here with Bitcoin. Right, you got this push higher. Everybody probably entered right here, comes back down, lost a VWAP. Potentially coming down to fulfill this gold pocket here at 16,539. You do have the daily just below that as well for Bitcoin. So yeah, we'll see how things kind of transpire. But these two areas right here would be something to kind of look for, because that would effectively knock out, good amount of positions here, dating all the way back to Thursday of last week for Bitcoin. And let's see where we'd be at the daily. Also, yeah, Thursday last week. If we come down any lower than this, take out this low right here. So potential for reversal short term is there if we come down to this next daily and get a decent reaction. So that's what we'll be looking for. All right.
You have to think this market is crying out for liquidity. So when price rises, that's to draw in longs. As soon as they've got them longs, they're going to push it the other way to draw in, trap them longs, take them shorts out, take their money, and then draw in shorts. Then they'll push it higher to then trap them shorts, take their money to make more longs, then come in, and then they do the same. And especially when volume is as low as it is. I mean, granted, we've had a bit of a high volume time in the past couple of hours, but when the market in general is the way that it has been these past few weeks, this is tends to be what they do. They push it higher. As soon as people stop buying, they'll then tank it to take their money, and as soon as it goes low enough to people start shorting, they'll then push it higher to take their money. So it's kind of what you can expect. As soon as you saw that huge spike right at the top, you have to think, is that a good thing? Is that a good place to buy? If it's not, well, maybe then people that have done that error right at the top there are going to get punished. And now what we can wait for is either some shorts to come in and get trapped, or we're all getting hints of possibly positions changing hands. But I would I'll wait for a clear signal, whether that be a Delta switch up, or you need a real setup in order to just take a long. You're not going to just trade off that alone. But the short, we mentioned it in the session that we had just before we came on here. We mentioned that as the area to take a short from, being the fact you had the pivot there, the 310 EMA on the 50-minute, and also the previous day New York point control. You had a number of things there warranting a possible trade, and it was also an SFP just to make it a bit easier. But that was a clear one. The fact you had them buyers come in right at the top, it's just like, why are you buying here? And then price comes down and does as it has. So expect the same on the other end is what I'm trying to get at.
Exactly. Perfect. Awesome. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for you all today. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for our TA Thursday review, see how things played out from what we were looking for today. If you are interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, information is in the description box below. You can also go to our website here at leadingcrypto.io, get a good idea of what we offer here, academy videos, things of that nature. We are offering a half off first month special for the remainder of December, so the next couple days here. If you're interested, just hit on membership plans, come to the monthly side, hit subscribe, and go to add promotion code BTC22. And that will give you a $29.50 first month here. So come in, give it a try for the beginning of the year, see how you like it. If not, otherwise, we will see you all back here tomorrow morning. So hope you'll enjoy the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're on this beautiful world. And until next time, everybody, cheers.